The directory was such a useful tool.
We have a lot of diverse kids in our classes. This provides some other sources of ways that you can bring it into the classroom more and have those discussions about culture.
And it was easy to navigate. I was easy to find tons of resources for grade 5 social studies as well as language arts. That's going to help me teach later on.
Why don't we put yours going sideways? It can go at the bottom here. One of its main strengths is that it gives students and teachers the opportunity to explore Japanese culture starting in kindergarten. And so it provides a through line for those students so that they're exposed to some information in kindergarten, and that can build up through every grade level. So by the time they're getting into those more complex topics, such as Japanese internment in Canada during the Second World War, they've already been exposed to information related to that. I think that they would be able to build on that understanding in a more meaningful way because they've already kind of covered lots of information related to that.
People should have the right to practice their culture. All right. All citizens should be allowed to practice their cultural practices in safety and know that the government understands and supports their actions. How the directory works is I found what I was studying in class, scrolled down to the appropriate part. The directory has an awesome table of contents that highlights everything it's teaching, and then it was up to me to either start at what I was going to teach with their lesson 1 or pick and choose what best suits my students' needs and where I'd like to take my class.
Teachers really have the ability to choose what they want and be flexible with how they're using it in their rooms.
There was lesson ideas that you could use it for that you could bounce off, and it gave you some resources. It gave you books, because sometimes finding the books is the hardest part of it. Once you get them, it's kind of like it starts to roll with it. Oh, I can use it for this and this.
Teachers are so busy all the time. By having something prepared that links to our specific outcomes across all grades is such a handy tool to have, and it makes my day a lot more effective and efficient.
A lot of teachers are scared to say the wrong thing or to talk about or on behalf of a cultural group that's outside of our own identity or background. And so the directory helps to maybe alleviate those fears by providing resources that have been vetted. Storybooks for me are the best way of addressing topics that might be a little bit outside of our comfort zone. You will find that the kids will find something in it to be enthusiastic about and will make connections to other things that you're doing in class. So one of the stories that we read last year with my group of kids was Ramen for Everyone, which is a book about a boy who's trying to make the perfect bowl of ramen and then comes to realize that that perfect bowl of ramen could look different for every person. And so it's kind of a little message about being unique. So my class and the kindergarten class got together and the kids made their own individual bowls of ramen.
We got to not just read the book, but we also tasted it as well. So like the kids going through it, how to make the best ramen, the kids were showing how to make their best ramen as well.
I have grade 2 students from last year who will see me in the hall and they're still talking about their bowl of ramen that they got to make. We recently read a story about Yayoi Kusama, who is a famous Japanese artist. I read the story to the kids and then they insisted that we add her to our Changemaker wall, which is a display in our classroom, which is just full of people who've done things to make the world a better place. And so they really wanted to put Yayoi on our Changemaker wall.
Use Suku's kimono a lot as well. We usually use this a lot during residential schools. We're talking about the Truth and Reconciliation. We're talking about Orange Shirt Day, because this is another way of showing that how a piece of clothing can be very important to a culture, important to a kid, important to a family.
Sashiko Stitches is about a little girl who kind of finds peace and comfort in doing her own stitching. And so the kids were able to tell me things that make them feel better if they're having a hard day. And then they made a patchwork that kind of goes along with the patchwork that the girl makes in the story. Those hands-on activities are the things that kids remember the most. They will remember that activity and then what teachings came along with it.
Kindergartens, they're kind of stuck in that all about me phase, and it's kind of singular. So it's providing more of a way to branch out and look at other countries.
Hands-on activities is the best way for students to truly connect with what they're learning. My students responded to the directory resources really positively. They were engaged in the lessons, and it even prompted them to ask even more engaging questions that I normally wouldn't have had. The directory really enhances everything by providing an in-depth look at some of the stuff that teachers may not be familiar with or comfortable teaching. It has it all laid out in an easy to follow way and provides them with the tools and resources to succeed.